If you've been in a gym before, it's likely that you will have seen people using all sorts of different pieces of equipment while they're training, from belts to squat shoes to knee sleeves to elbow wraps and other things. There are a lot of pieces of equipment out there, and you may think, oh my gosh, do I need to buy all of these things? But the answer is no. I'm just going to run through the 5 which I use and have used in the past, and the reason why I use them, why they're good, and exactly what they do. So first of all, I'm going to start off with the belt. The belt is the thing which I have been using for the longest, and essentially what it does is that it increases the pressure inside your abdominal cavity, which therefore stabilizes the spine. So it basically means that you're able to contract your abs a lot harder, which stabilizes your spine. Now, you can get them in different thicknesses, but my one here, the pink one from Strength Shop, it is 10 millimeters, and for most girls and maybe some younger or smaller guys, then the 10 millimeters is going to be totally adequate. I use a lever belt here, a 10 millimeter lever belt, but you can get ones which have either a single prong or a double prong. The double prong ones are harder to get on and off, but ones with prongs in general are much easier to adjust than ones with levers, because for mine, what I have to do is I have to use screwdrivers when I come to adjust it. So anyway, next up I'm going to talk about shoes. Now, if you don't have squat shoes, I really recommend taking off your shoes whenever you're doing any squats, deadlifts, bench press, any overhead press, basically anything which is like a big kind of lift, because these lifts are about transferring power from the floor to the weight. So if you've got a cushioned sole, it's going to absorb a ton of the power that you're trying to generate, which is going to make you far less stable. Now, if your gym is funny about you taking off your shoes with just your socks on, then I would just say to get Converse, because you can use this for pretty much everything. I just have the squat shoes because I got them for a Christmas present, and I'm able to do my squats and my bench presses in them, and I really like how it feels personally. If you are somebody with a really big forwards lean when you're squatting, I recommend getting a squat shoe with a big heel, because the bigger the heel, the more you are going to be able to stay upright. And when I say that, I don't mean wear high heels when you're squatting, because that may be a little dangerous. Next up, I'm going to be talking about knee sleeves and also knee wraps. So first of all, I'm going to start off with knee sleeves, because this is what I use and I really like them. I find that when I go into the bottom of my squat, it just helps me it feels almost like I'm bouncing up a little bit more, and this is pretty much because knee sleeves help keep your knees warm all throughout your training. I also find they help me kind of stay more aware about my knees. So when I am in my squat, it really makes me think about forcing my knees out rather than allowing them to cave in. But that's just a psychological thing that I find they help me with. They're basically just a piece of compression equipment to kind of help keep your knees nice and warm and snug. However, if you're someone with a lot of knee pain, don't use knee sleeves as a mask to your knee pain. Make sure you actually solve the problem at its source rather than just sticking a plaster on the wound. And then when it comes to knee wraps, these are often used because as you get into the bottom of your squat, they help you kind of get back up a little bit faster. I personally haven't ever used them, and I think that if you are using them, they should be used sparingly, because in the long term it could actually mean that the knee itself becomes a less stable joint, because when you use knee wraps while you're squatting, it means that you're going to be in a more upright position, which therefore means that your hips are going to be used a little bit less. So just be careful when it comes to knee wraps, and if you are looking to get either of these things, maybe only use the knee wraps when it comes to really heavy powerlifting style squats, or just get the knee sleeves, because I must admit they do feel really nice when you use them. So next I'm going to be talking about straps. Now, I don't actually have any straps with me, but straps are great if you're doing high rep rows, deadlifts, Romanian deadlifts, because if your grip is going to be getting a bit weak while you are doing, let's say, sets of 12 on Romanian deadlift, your legs can still handle this weight. It's a little bit annoying if your grip just suddenly gives up when your lats, your back and your legs are still able to keep going, which is where straps come in really nicely, because they mean that you're able to hold the weight for longer and keep going until the target muscles are actually done with the rep. So this is why straps are really handy. At times it is a really good idea, and I strongly advise that you don't do all of your training with straps because it's so important to build up your grip strength. So doing the majority of your deadlifts, your rows, your pull-ups without straps is the best idea, I'd say. And this brings me on to wrist wraps. So if you are somebody with slightly weaker wrists or feels like they need a little bit of extra support while you're doing heavy pressing or squatting, then using wrist wraps can be a really great idea. And finally, I'm going to be talking about chalk. So this is actually liquid pink chalk, but you can just use regular chalk or regular liquid chalk. Chalk is so handy, especially in typical commercial gyms where the barbells are often not very grippy and pretty slippery and just not very good barbells. And the reason why chalk works is because it helps absorb moisture in your hands, which means that you're able to grip the barbell much better and therefore hold on to the bar for longer and lift more weight. So that's all I'm going to be talking about in this video. This is all of the pieces of equipment which I personally use or have used in the past, and the ones which I recommend. So I guess it's down to you guys whether you feel like you need it, and I hope this has been helpful. Thank you guys, and I hope you're enjoying the Strength Feed training guide.